And welcome back to episode 88, second segment. Today we are going to teach you how to save money.
Beat the heat and save some money. It's always important these days. I think that as we were researching this topic, it was kind of difficult to make it really jazzy, so we're going to do our best. It's really a practical thing, and again, it's just reminding people it's so important in home ownership to do the little things and to do them on a daily routine.
Yeah, these are really kind of they're kind of no frills, no nonsense things to do. But even some of these things, we walk into houses where we've had friends that have bought houses from us 10 years ago, and we walk in and we go, oh, why haven't they done that yet? So
this is true.
And we kind of broke it down into two segments. The first part is going to be the repairs and improvements. It's the things that you might spend a little bit of money doing, but we've tried to be reasonable with our recommendations here. So do you want to start off with the first one?
Let's get after it. So one of the things, that was a Chris Cuomo thing. Let's get after it. I've listened too much POTUS. Let's talk about sealing gaps, cracks, leaks. These are big things that actually will prevent the leak and penetration of the air that you don't want or want to keep in. So these are things that add to the overall health of the house, but also really get after that utility bill.
They do, and they also keep insects out, which Texas is buggy. Texas is really buggy, and so it is definitely a way to help keep all of them out. We have talked many times before about the investment of replacing windows. If you've got windows that are older, single pane windows, the return on investment for those is phenomenal from many aspects. Even if you're wanting to live in the house for another 10 years, the return in energy savings is great. But when you get ready to sell it, the return in doing that for them is also a really good return.
It also is we talk about that it's an immediate impact on your utility bills. But the other thing is when it comes to resale, it's one of those things that people will check and can be a deal breaker, whether someone has to do that or it's already been done for them.
Yeah. And one of the other things that we were suggesting is, this is a really good time of year to make sure that the filters and all your air conditioners are clean.
Yep.
If you have, I would imagine you've turned them on by now, since we've been up in the 90s. But if they're not running efficiently, go ahead and get somebody out now, because if they're not running efficiently now, it means they're probably not going to be running efficiently, or maybe not even running a month from now. And you don't want to have to be waiting, because now is the time of year when you've got to wait that week or 2 weeks to get an AC company out.
Next thing I do is I would get rid of all of the LED lights. Get rid of those, the incandescent, and put in LED lights. Those can lights, easy switch outs. There's so many different ones. I was pricing them the other day on Build.com versus what they were priced on at Lowe's, and I was really surprised that they were really almost the exact same price. Plus, I could get them that same day from Lowe's. So quick and easy to do. The other thing that you can do now is you can place that order on Lowe's and then walk in and pick it up a couple hours later.
Yeah.
Don't even have to shop.
Yeah. One of the things that I've really done over the last couple of years is I've tried to utilize as much home automation as I can.
Yes, you have.
And I've been sharing kind of my figuring part of that stuff out with friends, and I've got like all of my exterior lights now come on at dusk and they go off. They come on at dusk and they go off at dawn, and it makes my house more secure because I've got all of that light up around it. But I also know that I didn't have to remember to turn all of that off. I've installed Nest thermostats on all of the controls in my AC units, and now those have all been programmed to come on when you need to and stay off. And so utilizing home automation has become so much easier than it was even a year and a half or 2 years ago. It's something everybody needs to look into.
The other thing too that I don't think that many of us think about is that when we're not home, how does home automation play into as a factor? And the shades now that are out there, they can actually hook up to the Wi-Fi, and those shades can be set to actually come down at a certain time and go up at a certain time. So if you have windows that face due west, even though you're not there and you're not uncomfortable, that increase in sun temperature is going to turn your AC on and get that working. So have that set to come down. Very simple, very easy.
One of the other things is in the bathrooms where there are vent fans that go outside, a lot of times people walk away and leave those on. And so, we've been telling people, so there are timer timer buttons that look just like everything else. And so, you click it until you want it to run for 10 minutes, and then you leave and you know that it's going to go off, because if you have left that running all day, what it's doing is sucking all your air conditioning out.
That's true.
And running it out. So it's very inefficient.
So one of the things, now we can kind of switch gears, because those are repairs and improvements, but now we want to talk about like what we do on a day-to-day basis, like our behaviors. What behaviors are in place that we should be changing in order to decrease our outgoing expenses? And some of the things that we looked at that just might have been small were little things like when do you use the bulk of your energy, and when you can move it towards the evenings when it's not as hot, or sometimes in certain areas of the country when you move off certain the volume times, there is a discount in using the electricity at that point.
Yeah, very. And, some of the we have deregulated electricity here in Texas, and some of the companies are incentivizing you, although you might be paying a higher rate with that company during the peak demand periods, they might offer you, free nights and weekends or something like that. And it does cause behavioral change if you kind of focus on saving that money.
Yep. And things that you can do that fit into that would be like simply using your dryer in the evenings. So you're not heating up the house. And again, like Jeff was saying, if we can get it when it's not peak time, might be a change in the price.
Yeah. And the dryer is one of those things that even though you clean that little lint filter out every once in a while, lint does get beyond that.
Yes,
and
it does.
There are lots of YouTube people that will show you how to make the tube from a paper towel roll into an extension for your vacuum cleaner and get down into that. And I've done it before, and it's amazing how much crap you get out of it.
That is absolutely right. And so the other thing too, like keeping the blinds closed when you're not there. Now, of course, this doesn't work when you're actually for sale. We need you to keep the blinds all completely open. But when you're not there, yeah, it is. And we see it all the time. I was showing one of the condos, and I could tell that in one of the bedrooms, it had all plantation shutters. And the only reason it had plantation shutters is that was due west. And I thought, this is so simple and so smart.
The one of the things that I am really guilty of that kept coming up on many of the lists that I was referencing to try to pull this together was don't peek in the oven while you're baking. Number one, if you're when you turn your oven on and you're running your air conditioning, you are causing an automatic reverse effect there. But then a lot of people will, they want to look in the oven, and so many places that reference this said that you could lose up to 25 degrees of your oven just by opening the door and peeking in and closing it, which means it's going to come right back on. So look through the window, people.
And don't ruin your souffle.
Right.
So the other thing too is take off non-essential items, unplug your computer, turn it off. These are just ways that you can really control what is being consumed. Even though it doesn't consume much at the end of the day, these things add up if you think about 365 days.
I saw many sites reference the electricity vampires, and what they were talking about were the charging cords that go into the power supply that may only have an LED on.
Right.
It may only, but it is still going to be drawing power, and not just watching those things can really make a difference.
I actually remember being at a gym one time where they actually turned off every single piece of equipment. Like there was one main thing that it was turned on to, and then they turned it all the way off just because they didn't want like 40 little LED lights running for 9 hours when no one was there.
Interesting.
Yep.
And do you know that there's actually a right direction and a wrong direction to run your ceiling fan for both seasons, for a winter and a summer?
I do, but that doesn't mean that I actually do it.
I don't do that.
Yes, for me, it's Texas. It needs to blow down on me the whole
year.
time.
That's right.
I'll cover up. Yes, you should do that.
Well, so we hope you found some of that useful. I know some of it's very, very basic knowledge, but they're good things even for us to remember. Just as being homeowners, it's all about saving money.
So one of the things, I'm just going to shift gears. We hope you found that interesting. But one of the things I think that we forgot to mention at the very beginning of the show is that the website, updike.com, you were recently able to actually do some really interesting things that are really important for COVID shoppers right now.
Oh, that's right. One of the things that we have added to our website is we are now able to offer virtual tours on any listing that's in the MLS. Now, keep in mind, there are certain segments of the market that we work in where we would not be able to offer this virtual showing to somebody that's in, like, even Fort Worth listing show on
Right.
our website. But certainly, if there's any houses in the marketplace that you want to have a little bit more than the pictures of, you want to actually have a virtual showing on, just go to our website, let us know that, and we'll get in touch with you and let you know how we need to do that, whether it's through a Facebook Messenger, we can do it over Apple.
Or Android.
Lost my head there.
You're going
Apple
down that
Talk. I
road.
was going to. We will whatever platform you need to see it on, we can make sure you see it on.
We'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much. And remember, we want to be your realtors for life.